Declaration of Ruth M., last name redacted, an exhibit in support of the Flores Agreement. I, Ruth M., declare under penalty of perjury that the following is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and recollection. I was born on December 25, 1989, in Honduras. My son is, name redacted. He was born on November 21, 2010, and is 7 years old. We came to the United States due to violence. My stepfather is in a gang, and he and other gang members tried to rape me. We entered the United States on June 4, 2018, at Hidalgo, Texas. Immigration officers found us. They did not ask us anything or tell us any information. The first time I was called with my son was when we were at the station. They called us and asked our name, date of birth, took our picture, and they took our fingerprints. We were taken to a building where we stayed for 3 days. I was put in a room, and the officials took my son to another room. They told me he could not be with me. I told them he had a fever, but the officials told me that it was not really a sickness. They only wanted to know if he had something like high blood pressure. They put me in a room that was freezing. It had a concrete floor and cement benches. There were around 30 to 40 women. Around half had their children with them. There was a baby who was only 1 year old. The women told me that children who were under around 6 stayed with their parents. The children in our room couldn't sleep because of the cold. They were crying the whole time. We got aluminum blankets, but they didn't help much. We received a sandwich 3 times a day, but the meat was bad and made the children's stomachs hurt. The children also got cookies and juice for snacks. We had a thermos of water, but it was bad quality and had too much chlorine. My son later told me that the water was nasty and he did not drink it. There was not enough water for all of us. The children in the room got sick. They vomited, coughed, and had fevers. The women with children were not allowed to bathe them. The officials asked if the children needed medical attention, but told their mothers that coughs and fevers were not real sicknesses. They would not provide medicine. I was so afraid that my son, who already had a fever, would get sicker due to the cold. They called me to talk to an official on the 2nd day. He told me I would have a hearing, but did not tell me that I could have a lawyer or how to find a lawyer. He gave me a phone number and told me that I could call if I had been separated from my son. I got really scared that they might take my son and I wouldn't be able to find him. I saw my son a couple of times at a distance, but I never got to speak to him. I was terrified. I did not know if they would hit my son. I was worried that he would not be able to sleep without me there. Later that day I saw the officials leading my son somewhere. I asked where they were taking him, but they would not tell me. For 24 hours I had no idea where he was or if he was okay. I was devastated. On the 4th day, June 7th, I was taken to court. They shackled my hands and feet and put me on a bus with 25 men and women who were all shackled. We were on a bus for 2 hours. I still did not know where my son was, and I was terrified. At the court, they told me that I had a right to a hearing. I was assigned a lawyer for the first time. I only talked to the lawyer for about 5 minutes before the judge came. The judge told me that I could plead guilty or not guilty, but I would need evidence to show that I was not guilty. They said I was guilty if I crossed the river. I said that I had crossed the river, so I declared myself guilty. All the parents asked about their kids, but the judge said he was not there to handle the children. He was just there to sentence us for the crime of crossing the river. The judge declared us not guilty, and I was returned to the Pereira. Shortly after we got back, a nice official looked to see if my son was still in the Pereira. After I found out he was there, he took me to see my son. He was in a cell with the other children, and he was crying. After that, they allowed me to stay in the same cell as him. I stayed in the Pereira in the same cell during 4 days. He was given 3 meals a day. He was usually given a milk, fruit, juice, and either a burrito or a sandwich. He was also given a snack, usually a juice and a cookie. He ate all the food he was given. He was always hungry, and this was not enough food for him. The aluminum blankets were not enough, and he was still cold. They did not ask if he was sick, nor did he get any medical attention. It was hard to sleep. We were always being woken up throughout the day. It was always noisy. Either people were being yelled at or people were crying, especially children due to separation. The officials would also kick people if they did not wake up when they were called to go somewhere. My son was given a change of clothes and they washed his muddy clothes. After the Perera, we were both transferred to Dili and we have been here 20 days. She has seen Kara lawyers. I have asked for asylum, but my case was denied, and Kara lawyers appealed. My case was approved today, June 29th. Her aunt is her sponsor, and she lives in Manchester, New Hampshire. I, Ruth M., swear under penalty of perjury that the above declaration is true and complete to the best of my abilities. This declaration was provided in Spanish, a language in which I am fluent, and was read back to me in Spanish, June 29, 2018.